The attempted assassination of the former president was a historic moment that will have an impact on our nation's future political landscape. Action News Now reporter Margot Rowe shows us how people in our community feel about what's happened and whether more could be done to prevent it.
People across the nation are still processing the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump during a rally in Pennsylvania. I asked people here in our area where they were when they heard the news.
We are driving here from San Diego. My son is going to be a student at Chico State this year. So we were in the car. I had no idea about it until he mentioned it to me. It was not good. I don't think anytime you have political discourse, I don't think it needs to come to that.
At first I was scared, thinking that he'd been killed or badly hurt. And then even though I wouldn't vote for him, I was really relieved that he wasn't badly hurt.
Several people I spoke with had concerns about security and wondered if more could have been done to prevent it. I reached out to former Chico police chief and former director of public safety at Butte College, Mike Maloney, who explained to me that's a question that'll be answered down the line.
It becomes really easy to criticize law enforcement, and I include Secret Service in general with law enforcement, although they're a unique and more specialized kind of law enforcement. And I would just encourage that before we jump to any broad sweeping conclusions about any perceived failures of law enforcement, that we give it a minute to really let all the facts come to light. And they're going to continue to come to light over the next week.
Regardless of political party, multiple people I spoke with on and off camera agreed that the act of violence was unnecessary. And many are hoping that this act doesn't escalate to more acts of violence as we grow closer to the election.
I'm kind of worried that it will lead to more polarization and violence. I just really hope that people stay calm and don't allow this to divide us when we're already so divided.
Because of the political climate of how this election's been going, and obviously the attempt that happened on Saturday, do you think it's possible that another attempt could be made, or do you think this could be a one-off thing?
The initial report this morning is this was a 20-year-old young man out of Pennsylvania, and it sounds like he was a lone wolf, but it sounds like he was a bit of an extremist. There was bomb-making materials in his car. It's probably fair to say at this point that he is a lone wolf. However, reflecting back on the passions that have been expressed and that are manifesting along with this election cycle, we have to assume that there's other people out there with extreme views that could potentially do such things. The law enforcement is going to have to do their best to be prepared for every possible scenario.
In terms of how this could impact the election, several folks I spoke with believe this could sway people to voting for Trump out of sympathy. However, many people I spoke with say this doesn't change their vote at all.
Yeah, I don't. As far as impacting the election, I think the people who are going to vote for Trump are still going to vote for Trump, and I think the people who are going to vote for Biden are still going to vote for Biden, because that's just the way our political culture is now. I really don't think it's going to impact anybody or sway anybody who wasn't already swayed this far in.
And due to Saturday's attack, Maloney says security for both candidates will probably be increased moving forward.
In direct answer to your question, that there will very definitely be some enhanced security efforts, not only for Mr. Trump, but in light of the fact that in this cycle with Mr. Biden and Mr. Trump, we've now seen a level of violence that we haven't seen since the early 1980s with President Reagan. And so the Secret Service is very aware of what could potentially happen. We're very aware that as law enforcement and even as citizens, we're very aware that what's happening with Biden and Trump is contentious. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of emotion in the political circles and in the political houses, but there's also a lot of emotion among citizens that live in the towns and cities and neighborhoods throughout the nation.
In Chico, I'm Margot Rowe for Action News Now.
This now makes 3 presidents who have been injured in an assassination attempt, the other 2 being Ronald Reagan and Theodore Roosevelt.